what are the takeaways from the KPMG, FICCI-KPMG?
So good news is that in 2010 we saw the bounce back of the media and entertainment industry, and 2009, if you recollect, at the same event, we were all, shall I say, not having such smiling faces, but you can see the smiles are back on people's faces, and depending on which player or which sector you are, you would smile broader. Having said that, 2010 saw 11% growth rate on an overall basis, with the exception of the film industry, which grew by about 6.7%, largely driven by content-related issues in terms of catching consumer mindsets in that area. But the industry is poised for good growth rate at over 14% per annum to touch about US $28 billion by 2015. Some key trends that we saw in 2010 was an increase of 80% in social media. We saw 75% growth rate in DTH homes. We saw the VFX industry jump back. Advertising grew by 17%, and outdoor came back with a bounce of over 21%. Interestingly, also some of the major players in regional markets have done very well. A case in point is television, where we saw the market in television for Bangla actually expand by over 100%. Marathi also expanded by over 50% to 60%. And overall, the top 6-7 markets grew over 20-25%, which in television in particular, which shows the latency of demand. Now, having said that, maybe I could focus on what are the key trends that we see over the next couple of years. The first biggest theme, as we see, is digitalization is here to stay. It's no more about an aspiration. It's more about how we are looking at digitalization coming mainstream. And if you look at different facets of that, today for the first time, digital music sales crossed physical sales for the first time last year. And it's poised to grow at over 17% per annum as the music industry, largely led by digital, with the volume of physical sales going down. If I take digital screens as far as movie goers go, today there's a fair amount of digitalization happening on the ground of single screen and multiplexes. Multiplexes will double in size, and single screens will see around 3,500 to 4,000 digital screens. Let me take the third dimension, which is the largest dimension, which is television. While there is a sunset clause by 2015 in terms of saying that we will touch digital homes fully on a cable as well, we don't believe that will happen. But over 100 million homes, around 99 million homes, will touch about, which is representative of 64% of the total television households. Interestingly, 75% increase happened on DTH last year.
Why is it not the money coming into the new media in India, even though we see a huge growth in the advertisers are still shirking away from putting money in the media? Will it happen only when it becomes mass?
I think it's at some level already started becoming mass, because internet is pretty prolific. 7% of Indians use the internet. 2% of worldwide global Facebook users are from India. 8% of global users of Twitter are from India, which is an interesting dimension to say people tweet more at different ages. So clearly the younger population is looking at it. However, I think whether it's the advertising agencies or the advertiser need to wake up to the opportunity that is there. Now, some have done it. For if you recollect, the Sunsilk campaign which happened on internet was a great success story. Now, there need to be a couple of success stories, and unfortunately, I guess, since a lot of big money is going into, shall I say, new media in terms of advertising at the moment, people are not getting used to, from an advertising agencies, to push that model, whether it's on mobile or on the computer or through internet. Having said that, please recognize 7% of total advertising revenues in 2015 will come from digital advertising.
There are two things, sir. One is, you said print will stay there till 2040, but that should be caution also that people should not be overcautious that, that they are here to stay.
See, you're right. Having said that, let's look at one dimension. Today we have only 30% of literate population covered by print. First, that has to grow before it degrows. So, an interesting dimension you also recognize is that aspirationally, people consume or want their children to learn in English. But consumption of news happens in regional languages, if you really look at it. So having said that, it is a very clear thing that we will see at least an overall take up to over 60% before we see degrowth. Now, whether it's 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, it's anybody's guess. But at least for the foreseeable 10 years, we will see growth. On an overall basis, we have projected the print industry for the next 5 years to grow at about 10%.
Finally, what are your prescriptions for film sector? So it has been degrowing or growing only inch by inch?
So, at the end of the day, there's one single answer to that, and that is good content. And content which will meet consumer mindset and aspirations. So, we have seen different kinds of successes. So, at the end of the day, having said that, but the bigger budget movies are the ones which will create the industry size or the profitability. The bigger budget movies haven't done as well. The smaller budget movies have come of thing, but they're not of size and scale to take the industry to a level which is required.
So how is it that FICCI Frames KPMG report is going to be helpful to people? What is it that people can get out of it from a foreigner's perspective? What is it that?
So I think we've pointed out a couple of key themes for, shall I say, international players who are already here or who want to get here. Digitalization is going mainstream and it's here to stay. It's no more about a wish list, but it is here and happening. Number two, FDI will open up in some of the sectors, particularly in the case of cable, in the case of DTH, in the case of radio. Regulation changes will help on radio or Copyright Act also, which will help invest and spur the investment. There's over $4-5 billion to be invested in digitalization itself, which is an opportunity. Do remember, subscription revenues tend to be higher than the advertising revenues. Then the next dimension is regionalization. India is not about one single country. It's all about how many sub-regions you have. And the regional markets are likely to be bigger than the Hindi market in the next couple of years, which provides a huge opportunity for players to understand. Fourth, important thing is consumer segmentation and fragmentation together will stay. As the market develops and matures, fragmentation is here to stay, but it also provides opportunities in niches. Niches will be linked directly to digitalization, and new media is here in a bigger way. If you see digital advertising, we foresee that as a big growth story. Gaming is a big story, and so on and so forth.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. Thanks so much.
Take care, Vijay. I'm sorry to have made you